morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world watching this. It's so great to be here with you again today. And I hope you found the last few days really useful in preparing for an empowered birth. Today, I wanted to just share with you some interesting research around how you set up your birth space and protecting your birth space, and how that can really support how a person experiences their labor process from an emotional perspective. So my name is Mel. I'm the founder of All Things Birth and Beyond, and this week I'm talking about I'm not talking about, but I am being driven to share some top tips with you in an effort to reduce the chances of birth trauma, which is rife. 1 in 3 women experience an aspect of their birth as traumatic, and maternal suicide is the leading cause of death in the first year postnatally in the UK. That's not okay. That's tragic. That's devastating, and we need to urgently do something. So hopefully this has been useful to you, and please feel free to share the information and tell people to contact me if they'd like any more information. So as always, drop comments below, questions, and when you come online or you watch, say hi or hashtag replay. It would be really useful to get some feedback and engagement so that I can improve how I am supporting you on your journey. So, the role of hormones. Many people aren't aware that there are 3 main hormones: oxytocin, endorphins, and adrenaline, that play a really important role throughout the labor process and birthing process. What people often aren't aware of is that oxytocin and adrenaline work against each other for most of the labor process. And what that means is that when a person has a surge of adrenaline in their body whilst they're in labor, the oxytocin, which drives the labor forward, will reduce or can slow labor down. And that's really, really important to be aware of, especially for people who are moving from one environment to another. And for people who are, if you're at home, for people coming into your space, even if it is somebody that you know or feel comfortable with, often just a change can make your adrenaline levels go up quite significantly, and that then slows labor down. So you need to think about really what are the things that are going to support your oxytocin levels staying nice and high, and what are the things that are going to reduce or keep adrenaline at bay. Adrenaline is really useful at the end of labor when you are birthing your baby. But until that point, we want to keep it as much aside as possible. There's been a really interesting study, and where researchers looked at how a person sets up their birthing environment. And what they discovered is that healthcare professionals actually engage very differently with a birthing person when they have created a bit of an altar. You're probably thinking like, well, what does that mean? And so creating reverence around your situation. So dim lights, fairy lights, LED candles, perhaps a photo or two, some affirmations. Photos, I'm saying, of loved ones or other children, or perhaps a favorite pet. When a healthcare professional walks into a room and sees that kind of setup, it subconsciously tells them, or consciously tells them, that this is a really special time, and so they will change the way that they behave and interact with that laboring person And I just think that's really fascinating. So they will have hushed voices, and they will try not to communicate with you unnecessarily. They will give you the privacy that you need. So that's really, really interesting and useful to be aware of when you are engaging with healthcare professionals during your labor, or anybody. I mean, you're not going to expect that you're going to be getting anybody else in the room. So when you're thinking about making sure to keep your adrenaline levels as low as possible, use your five senses. I always think that's a really useful thing. Think about your five senses. What smells make you feel good? What tastes make you feel good? What touch makes you feel good? What sound makes you feel good? And just go through all the senses and write a list. It's also really useful to think about what supports your birth partner's oxytocin, and what keeps what would trigger your birth partner's adrenaline, and what keeps your birth partner's adrenaline at bay. We know that we energetically we feed off each other. So even if a person is in labor and is feeling really calm and confident, and the oxytocin levels are nice and high, if somebody else is in their birthing space, and it might be their birth partner who's feeling worried or anxious about them, that can impact on her adrenaline and oxytocin levels. So if you think about, if somebody has an argument and you walk into the room, you can kind of feel things are a little bit uncomfortable, or there's a bit of tension. And so it's really, really important to ensure that whoever is in your birth space is managing and keeping in check their hormone, their oxytocin and adrenaline levels, and thinking about what kind of things can you bring into your labor environment, into that birth space, to make it feel special, so that when other people come in, they are aware of the kind of space that you are trying to create for them. So it's been a super short and quick one today, and I can definitely share more information with you on the role of hormones and how oxytocin and adrenaline kind of work as frenemies, and have a think about what things will support your oxytocin and keep your adrenaline at bay, and pop them in the comments. It would be lovely to see. So I hope this has been useful, and I will be back in the group tomorrow to share my final top tips on preparing for an empowered birth. Have a fab day.